It's a remarkable story by any measure. The story of a Canadian man believed to be in a so-called vegetative state after an accident and apparently unable to communicate. But it turns out the man, Scott Routley, still had a voice of his own. It just had to be unlocked. Anne McMillan is here in London taking a look, as I said, the story of this Canadian man, Scott Routley. Anne, tell us more.
Heather, Scott Routley is 39 and he suffered severe brain damage in a car accident 12 years ago. He is the star of the show in a documentary which will be shown on the BBC tonight, which reveals new information about patients in a vegetative state. The program followed minimally conscious people here in Britain and in Canada for 1 year. Scott Routley's parents were convinced that he was aware of what was going on around him, even though he could not communicate, but medical staff said they were wrong. Then Professor Adrian Owen, a British neuroscientist who now works at the University of Western Ontario, asked Routley questions while his brain was being scanned. And he says the pattern of Routley's brain activity shows he is making conscious decisions to answer questions, that he knows who he is, where he is, and he's made it clear that he is not in pain. Here's how Professor Owen describes the importance of this discovery.
I think it was enormously significant. This is the first time that we have asked a patient a question in the scanner that is actually relevant to their clinical condition.
You know, it's interesting, Heather, that 2 years ago, our Susan Ormiston did a report about Professor Owen and his team, who were then working at Cambridge University. He moved to London, Ontario, because the funding there was much better than here in Britain.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, Anne, from our medical textbooks going to have to be rewritten because of this, or what are the broader implications here?
Well, scientists are saying that, yes, medical textbooks will have to be rewritten after this discovery, and that in future, people like Scott Routley can be asked questions that can lead to improved treatment. They can have input on things like when they want food, or when they want to be washed, or even what music they would like to listen to. Another Canadian featured in tonight's documentary, Stephen Graham, was able to remember things that have happened since he went into a vegetative state after a car accident. For example, that his sister had a baby after his accident.